What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at a portable power station. This is the Bluetti AC200L along with the B300K Expansion battery. Taking a look at some of the specs for the AC200L, this has a 2048 watt-hour LiFePO4 battery, a 2400 watt power handling, a 1200 watt solar charging input, UPS function, and a very good 5-year warranty. Coming over to the B300K Expansion battery, this has a 2,764.8 watt-hour capacity, a long life of over 4,000 cycles, and is compatible with the Bluetti AC500, AC300, AC200L, and the AC200 Max. So when it comes to the overall design of Bluetti products, I'm definitely a big fan. The shells are made of plastic, but it's a very heavy duty plastic that feels like if you bump into it or accidentally drop it, it's not going to break on you. Overall, just a very good and solid feel to it. I bought a few cheaper power stations in the past that were also plastic, but the plastic just felt very cheap and thin. But with these, once again, they definitely feel very good quality. So taking a look at the front of the Bluetti AC200L, one thing I'm a big fan of is every single port is covered. I had this in my garage and it got all dusty, but the ports are all nice and clean still, thanks to all of them being sealed and covered. So taking a look at the ports, right over here you have your DC outputs. Up top you have a 12 volt 10 amp port, and then below that you have a 48 volt 8 amp port. Over here you have a USB-C 100 watt port, two USB-A's that put out 5 volts 3 amps, and then over here you have a second USB-C port. So that's a total of two 100 watt USB-C ports. Always good to see that, as a lot of cheaper power stations cheap out and put a 100 watt and a 60 watt, or even sometimes a 60 watt and a 30 watt. So very good to have that dual 100 watts. Coming over here, you have your AC outputs. And as you can see, this puts out 120 volts with a maximum of 2400 watts. So that's 4 20 amp outputs. And then right over here, you have your 30 amp output. Very nice power button over here that has an LED ring on it. And then right here in the middle, you have your LED screen. In the middle, you have your percentage, your estimated time remaining. And then you have your two inputs, one for DC, one for AC. And then your two outputs, one for DC, one for AC. A lot of power stations combine these, so it's good that it tells you a lot of information on here, as I am someone who likes to see everything that's going on with the power station. Looking at the B300K, right here you have a USB-A port, which puts out 12 watts. Here in the middle, you have your battery indicators. Each light shows 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. And then right here, you have your power on and off button. And that's about it for the expansion battery. There's no other ports all around it except for the ports to connect it, which are right here on this side. I'll show you that shortly. Other than that, a very nice and simple design. And I do like this cool looking grille pattern here in the front, as it just gives it a sporty and modern look. Almost forgot to mention, on the left side of the AC200L, you have your DC/PV input, and this can take 12 volts through 145 volts. Then you have your AC input, and this is their own proprietary cable that has 3 pins on it. You have your circuit reset button, and then right here you have your port, which is where the expansion battery connects to. So getting the expansion battery hooked up is very easy. With the expansion battery, they give you this cable here, very, very thick and overkill cable. So looking at one end, you have an unlock and lock, and then you have this button to unlock it. So first off, you want to make sure that both the power station and the expansion battery are off. Once you confirm that, kind of difficult to do this with one hand, but it just plugs in just like that. And as you can see, it has this little tab on the top which locks it in. And besides that, you also have this lock button. And once you push that, you can no longer push this button. And then it's in there and locked in. So if you bump into it or accidentally move it, it's not going to unplug. You have to be very intentional about removing it. And then on the expansion battery side, you have 2 ports. So for one battery, you would connect this cable to the power station. And if you want to add a second battery, that's when everything will get daisy chained. So it'll be one cable from this power station to here, and then another cable would go from this battery to the other battery. So once again, push that in there, push it into here, it clicked, and then once again, lock that little switch, and now it's in there, not going anywhere. And that's basically all there is to connecting it. Once you have it hooked up, you just turn on the power station. And once the power station is on, it'll automatically turn on the battery as well. And now the battery readout on the power station will show for both the battery and the power station. All right, so I got them hooked up. As you can see, I have power going to both. So once you hook up something over here, what I like about this is they now act as one unit. So while it's pulling power from both units. So if it says 50%, basically you'll have 25% over here and 25% over here. I've had some power stations in the past where you had to put a button to switch the battery, or it'll just drain from this one and this one will be a different percentage as it charges back into the other one. Usually there's a more complicated process sometimes, but definitely a big fan when they become one unit like this. Inside these batteries, they do have high quality cells, and these are rated to maintain a 80% capacity for 3,000 charges. That's not saying it's going to stop working after 3,000 charges, but after 3,000 charges, that's where you're going to get 80% or less out of these. So definitely going to last you a very, very long time. Overall, you should probably get about 10 to 15 years of usage out of these power stations. So if you're someone on the fence of whether to go electric or with a traditional gasoline generator, definitely go with one of these instead, as they literally make no noise. They have no maintenance. There's no gas or parts to worry about. And like I just said, they're going to last you a very, very long time. All right, so being that it's summer right now, one thing that's very common is a power outage happens and you get stuck in the scorching heat. No one likes being in that position, so this is one of the times where having a power station like this one really helps. So right now I have this hooked up to my 14,000 BTU air conditioner. Well, I actually forgot to turn it on, but as you can see, I now have it on. This is an inverter-based air conditioner, so as it cools, it cycles up and down from its maximum wattage all the way down to about 30 watts at times. As you can see right now, it's pulling a little over 800 watts, but as I just said, it's going to cycle up and down. The maximum that I've seen it pull is somewhere about 1400 watts. So it's down to 98% now. I'm going to let this run for about an hour so we can see how long this power station plus the expansion battery can run a 14,000 BTU air conditioner. Looking at the screen, the power station says it's going to be able to run the air conditioner for 4.8 hours, but that's assuming the air conditioner keeps pulling that 960 watts. It usually only takes about 30 minutes to an hour to cool down the house. Right now, my garage is about 76, 77 degrees, and I set it to cool it down to 70. So as soon as it reaches 70, this should drop a whole lot more. This is a garage that's not very well insulated. So just something to keep in mind, this isn't always accurate because this is only reading if that load stays constant. With fridges and air conditioners, it's a up and down scale. So this can easily be 10 hours or more. But like I said, we'll let this run for an hour and we'll see how much it takes from the power station. All right, so I turned off the air conditioner at almost exactly 1 hour. And as you can see, it pulled 654 watt hours. And then the power station is down to 83%. So since this is down to 83%, at about 0 to 100, you should get about 6 hours of being able to run an air conditioner with this and the expansion battery. Although it shows that based off this test, I'm pretty sure in a real usage scenario where the air conditioner is inside a house and everything's well insulated, you should get probably closer to 10 to 12 hours. So yeah, even in this garage, I'm pretty sure if I let this run from 100 to 0, it'll probably get closer to that 10 to 12 hour mark instead of the 6 that we're seeing right now. All right, so if you did want more runtime with this setup, there's two options you have. One, you can connect this up to 1200 watts of solar panels. And since the air conditioner was only pulling about 800 watts on average, the solar charging will pretty much offset the entire load and give you at least 4 to 10 hours of extra runtime. Second, if you don't have the space or room to install solar panels, like I said earlier, you can also add a second expansion battery, which will let you run things for about 30 to 40% longer. So a very common question I always get is how long can the power station run a full-size fridge? As you can see right now, it's pulling 128 watts according to the power station. This combination is going to run it for 28.5 hours. Just like the air conditioner, the fridge does cycle on and off a lot. So as soon as it reaches temperature, this is going to drop down to about 5, maybe 10 watts. But like I said, we'll let this run for an hour and see how much it actually drains. All right, so it's been running for a little bit more than an hour, and as you can see, it only pulled 2%. So with this combination, you're going to be able to run a fridge for about 50 to 60 hours. I say 50 to 60 because we don't know if that's 98.8%, 98.2%. So that makes it a little difficult to see how much it actually drew. But overall, this could definitely run a fridge for a very, very long time. That's a little over 2 days, but again, you might get about an extra half day or full day out of this as well. As you can see right now, the fridge is at idle, so it's only drawing 0.4 watts. Because of that, this timer is not even moving because it just thinks it's a phantom draw. If I open up the fridge, the LED light goes on. As you can see, it jumps up to 5 watts, and now the timer starts moving again. So even though this timer only says 34 minutes, it has been a little bit over an hour. As I said earlier, this does have a UPS function. So if you get this power station for the purpose of using it with your fridge, you could just leave it plugged in. And as soon as you lose power, it'll automatically switch the fridge over to the power station to keep your fridge on at all times. And then when your power comes back on, this also charges very quickly as well. This can charge from 0 to 80 in only 45 minutes. So one of my favorite features about this power station is its powerlifting mode. Despite only having a power handling of 2400 watts, with powerlifting mode, it can actually run up to 3600 watts. So the way this works is, say for example, you already have your computer, a heater, whatever else connected to this power station, and it's already at a higher wattage. So traditionally, if you had a power station that didn't have this and you went ahead and plugged in, say, a microwave, and that put it over the wattage of the power station, it would just shut off, give you an error, basically say can't do it. You'll have to unplug things just to use that microwave. But with this one, it'll let you keep running everything you already have plugged into it. And instead of running your 1000 watt microwave and giving it the 1000 watts, instead it still runs the microwave, but runs it at a lower wattage of maybe 600-700 watts. This way you can still use your microwave, cook your food, at the same time, still be able to use everything you want to use as well. Yes, it's going to cook a little bit slower, but that's a trade-off that I think is really worth it. You don't have to unplug anything, and now you can run more than you usually could. The powerlifting mode works with any resistive items. So this could be a microwave, a hairdryer, a heater, basically anything that's not voltage sensitive. So definitely a very cool feature. It's going to let you pull and get a little more use out of this power station compared to a lot of its competitors that don't have a feature like this. All right, so I drained the power station and the B300K expansion battery from 100% to 0 with about a 1700 watt load, and it put out a total of 4,625 watt hours. Doing the math, that gives this combination a usable capacity of 96%. Most power stations only put out about 80 to 85% on average. So this is definitely much, much better than most other units out there. So I know a lot of people get nervous when it comes to storing large batteries like this in their house, but rest assured you don't have anything to worry about, as this does have an advanced BMS. This continuously monitors and protects the power station and expansion battery from overvoltage, short circuits, temperatures, and many other things as well. Besides this, you also get a very good 5-year warranty to keep you covered in case you do have any problems. Overall, this is definitely a great power station. It performs a lot better than most others out there, and it has a ton of different ways you can expand it as well. So all in all, if you happen to be shopping for a mid to large capacity power station, I would highly recommend this combination here, which again is the Bluetti AC200L and the Bluetti B300K expansion battery. If you would like more information, I also put the links to both of these in the description as well. All right, well, that all wraps up this video. As usual, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.